better than 2020, but we will surely see. Hasn't started off super great, but we'll see. I know that we didn't meet in November or December because we were doing our rest months and everything like that. And I know that 2020 kind of was a rough year. We didn't really get to see a lot of each other and everything, but we're hoping that this year we're going to be able to have great speakers and continue to kind of build the community that we've continued to build for several years now. So we're really excited. For tonight, we're going to do Q&A style. So feel free to chime in at any point. Feel free to put questions in the chat. We don't have to see you to hear your voice, so it's okay if you don't have your cameras on. But we want this to kind of be a good opportunity for you guys to ask questions of Kat, who's really kind of an expert at this particular topic. She teaches on this and has, done a lot of education on business planning and goal setting and stuff. So we wanted this time to be as valuable as possible to you guys. So really take advantage of the fact that she's joining us tonight. Like Sarah said, we'll record it and we'll put it up on the YouTube channel for everybody to see who doesn't get to join live. But if you have any other questions, let us know. And then I'm sure as the conversations go, people will start thinking of more questions too. Things might kind of get triggered, but we'll kick it off with a couple of questions that us three leaders kind of put together ourselves. So Sarah, do you want to start off with a couple of the questions that you had? Or first, Kat, would you like to introduce yourself, tell everybody a little bit about you, and then we'll kick it off.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for having me. I'm Kat. I'm not in Virginia. I'm not in Florida. I'm in Virginia. So I'm not in your area, but really excited to listen virtually with you guys. I've been to Jacksonville one time. So anyways, yeah, I'm excited to be here and just get to hang out a little bit around goals and business planning. We were chatting before some of y'all jumped on. I feel like a lot of people, you either love goals or you hate goals. And then in light of 2020, we all kind of hate goals. Like we're all like, I'm like really apprehensive to like thinking about what I want my business to look like in 2021, and rightfully so. I own several different businesses. Some of them are events heavy. So I own a wedding planning company, and then I also host Creative at Heart Conference. So both of those businesses were drastically affected by COVID. And so I say that to like, hopefully let you know, like I'm in your boat too. Like I understand that it's really difficult to try to think strategically when there are really intense factors at play with our businesses and our revenue streams. But my hope is that we can inspire you guys and encourage y'all in this time to set some strategic goals for your brand in 2021. And I am definitely an open book. So I love like the Q&A kind of a roundtable style. So whatever questions y'all have around goals, whether you feel like it's super customized to like your specific business and this one goal, like let's do it, like let's go there. Or if it's a little bit more broad, like let's do that too. So I definitely want to help you guys kind of break down how you can make it possible in 2021 to set a goal that you can achieve that can be realistic in light of everything that's going on.
Awesome. Thanks, Kat. I am going to jump in. Tatum is dropping some good questions in the chat here, but I'm going to start with one that I think I floated to Tatum and Heather before you jumped on, Kat, that I think is a really good way to sort of kick it off. And in light of 2020 and all that 2020 brought, what tips would you have as we're all looking to sort of do some business planning for 2021? What advice would you have for being realistic while also still dreaming big and wanting to grow and reach that next level? Sort of what advice would you have for trying to balance the two this year?
Yeah, great question. So I am a firm believer in quarterly goals, and I've always been, even pre-2020 and pre-everything that 2020 threw our way. I feel like 2020 just solidified the foundation for quarterly goal setting. So when I say quarterly goals, like a 90-day chunk of time, do I think that it's helpful to look at the whole year and say like, okay, this is how I want to wrap things up on December 31st. Like, this is how I want to feel. And this is what I want to have checked off. Like, sure, that's great, but that's not always realistic, because we know from 2020, a lot of curveballs were thrown our way. way. And so we had to pivot a lot over and over again. So I think that it's super helpful if you just laser focus on a 90-day period. So for right now, that would be now through the end of March. And to me, I'm like, oh, that feels realistic. Like, what do I want to happen in the next, right now, I guess what we're at, like maybe 10 weeks, 9 weeks, something like that, between now and the end of March. So like, okay, let's think about it from like that perspective and like be really realistic with like what's going on in that time frame. So that's one answer to that question. I think it's helpful to like shorten the time that you're thinking about the goal. I also think that it's really helpful, especially because of 2020, to think about your current revenue streams. I'm like, all right, this is what I've got on my plate because we're a business and not a hobby. So we have to make money doing what we're doing. So whether we're service-based and we're thinking through COVID and thinking about some of the ways that that has impacted us and will likely still continue to impact us this year, or you're product-based and your consumers might have been impacted and therefore like your bottom line is also lower. So there's a lot of things, but looking at your current revenue and what you want to do in that like chunk of time, but also thinking about how you can pivot to give your business more revenue. That's what I think is important for every business owner in 2021 is to think about new revenue streams. And I don't mean that to say that I don't want you to be strategic with what's currently on your plate, but if we learned anything from 2020, it's that we have to diversify our offerings. Like we have to have other things coming in to help us if one is fallen short. And so to start to think through like, what are some things that you can do in your business that could bring in additional revenue that are not tied to your current revenue stream? So if something currently starts to go down, what's something new that you could help kind of like bring up and keep your business afloat or even give you more profit than you thought possible?
Yeah. So that is great and a great answer actually and a great segue to another question that I had written down. So perfect. I'm just going to segue into that one next. So thinking through that, and that's something that I'm trying to strategically do in my business this year, as I'm sure a lot of us are, as my work is very client based. And, as 2020 presented itself for a lot of us who do client based work, they're, when something like COVID happens and the clients start to pull back because they are scared, which makes sense. You need to think about what are other ways I can generate revenue. So obviously, you still need that main stream of revenue that you have that supports your business. But what are some ways that you can continue to support that main revenue stream while also focusing your attention on growing secondary aspects of revenue? So you have to serve what you do. I'm going to use service-based because I'm service-based. You have to continue to serve your clients because ultimately they're your bread and butter. But how do you focus your attention here while also growing?
Like having goals for growth. Yeah, great question. So a couple of different answers, and I say answers loosely because it is going to look a little bit different based on each of your businesses and the specific services that you have and the specific team that you do or don't have, or growth goals, things like that. So disclaimers, I guess, for all of these answers. Okay, so I believe that there's always a season of hustle for entrepreneurship. You're never going to have it so perfect. You're like, man, these systems are so good and things are going so well with my services that I don't need to put in any more work and effort over here. And I can just turn all of my attention over here. Like, I don't personally believe that that's possible. I think that sounds awesome. And if somebody knows how to do that, like, they should teach me how to do that. But in my 7 years as a business owner with multiple brands and multiple revenue streams, it's never been possible. There are seasons of hustle, and they are just that, seasons of hustle. So there will be a time when you say like, okay, you know what, my services are going well, but I know I need to start pivoting over here. So things that you can do to help with like that hustle and balance would be making sure you have clear-cut systems in place on the service side so that you can handle adding on a new goal. So whether that's hiring a team member, whether that's investing in like Dubsado or Honeybook or Trello, like having some like actual softwares to help make that process go a little bit easier. I think that there are some things that you need to kind of audit on that service side to make sure that you feel like you can take that jump. personally, and the business owners that I coach, I feel like a lot of women let fear keep them from making that jump. Like they actually are really good at being a business owner. Like they're a boss. They have really awesome offerings and they're serving their clients really, really well, but they're nervous to enter into crazy hustle season and start the growth goals. And that's just something that we have to like kick to the curb and like really focus on, you know, what the potential that those new growth goals are going to give. I like to try to see if in some of those growth goals, are they directly related to my current services? So is it something that, like, for example, as a wedding planner, did I have a goal to say, well, I want to start a course for wedding planners. And then I already have an existing audience potentially. So some of the work in the new revenue stream is somewhat there, like it's not been done completely, but I'm not building from scratch. Does that make sense? Like you're kind of figuring out, okay, well, based on going in this direction, have I already done X, Y, and Z to make it an easier transition? Or is this totally in left field, like a brand new thing, brand new jump, more workload? And then you just have to be realistic with what's on your plate. Whenever I teach like a quarterly planning process, I always start with time. Time is like, we don't have all of it. Like we want more time and we can't give ourselves more time. There's only like a finite number of time in a workday and in the time that you have to put in your business. So when you're going for a new goal, you have to assess your current time and say, well, do I need to say no to the next service offering that comes my way? Because I need to take a chance and take that time on the new goal. Maybe you know your revenue and if you can or cannot do that. Do you need to give up some time with family? And I hate that because of course family is important and business is important, but again, seasons of hustle, like do you need to say, I'm going to have to dedicate late nights for the next 2 weeks in order to get this one thing up and running? And only you can assess that time. So time would be like the first thing to evaluate, to know, like, can you start to pivot from all service or mostly service into some other offerings? And if you have the time to start to make that transition.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
And would you recommend, go ahead, Tatum.
what's kind of like an example schedule that you use in terms of like how you break out your days or your weeks, and kind of allocate certain time frames for your new goals versus your regular work and stuff like that?
Yeah, really good question. I don't have a perfect system right now. So a little bit of a backstory, if y'all don't know like anything about me, which is fine if you don't. I have a 9-month-old and a 2.5-year-old, and our babies are at home with us. So my husband and I both work on the business and we have our kids at home with us. So that means that our life is a little bit crazy. And we're doing the early morning hustle and the nap time hustle and sometimes the late night hustle. But for us, it has just been such a blessing to have the freedom and the flexibility as a family to still have like our young kids at home. And I feel like I have a responsibility to like help steward their like little lives right now, and love being able to do that and also work on the business. I say that, and yet we got in a huge fight earlier today because we were both like really stressed out with like the toddler throwing a tantrum and the 9-month-old crying. So I say all of that with like a veil of perfect. And even though there's days that it's really, really hard. So pre that schedule, like, so before my daughter was born, so in April, a year ago, then my schedule, Tatum, was every Thursday was my quarterly day. So Thursdays, I did not have any client appointments. I would block it off. Like I knew I am not going to have a call with the bride. I'm not going to have a coaching client. I am not going to do any of these other things, but look at what are these growth goals? Like, am I focusing on my email list growth this month? So like, what do I need to do in that vein? Am I focusing on a course that's rolling out? So what are like to-dos that I need to do? And I loved having that one day a week blocked off to be on the business task. I used to feel really guilty doing that. Like, oh, but what if the bride needs me, or I need to be in my inbox more? And y'all, like 24 hours is only 24 hours. They can wait unless the venue's on fire. Like, you know, like it's okay.
Yeah.
Now with COVID, then I was like, well, never mind. Now there like is a lot of fires that we're putting out. You know, pre all of that.
Yeah.
I do think that we put so much pressure on ourselves, and it's wonderful to be available to our service-based clients, like absolutely. But you also have to be somewhat selfish and think about like the growth for your business and for your family. And so having one day to block off, and I would typically start the day with email. So I would spend like a 30-45 minute time frame just making sure, like, how's everything going? Like, you know, what's going on, checking in with team members on projects. Then literally like a good 6 to 7 hours that day was on whatever the quarterly project was that I was working on. And then end the day checking back in with the team, checking back in with emails, and piecing out for the day. So I highly, highly suggest a system like that if you have a schedule that would allow you to be able to kind of orchestrate a full day like that.
I will say I started doing that at the beginning of this year. We don't have kids at home, so I have that flexibility. And I started blocking it out with like, there's only one day where I will take like new potential client calls or people who want to connect or whatever. And it's so freeing to know that like, and I blocked off my Calendly, like you can only schedule.
They're all batched together too.
Yes.
Right. They're all batched together. Like I don't have people trying to schedule a random 30-minute meeting in the middle of a Wednesday when I'm trying to focus on something else. And it has been, I feel like cleared so much time.
I need to do that because I get emails in my inbox of brides complaining about a venue's availability to give tours. They're like, why aren't they more flexible? And I'm like, well, I wish I wasn't as flexible as I am because goodness.
Like clients are a different story, but like if you just like, oh, you just want to chat or we met at a networking meeting and you want to do a one-to-one, sorry, that happens on Mondays. If it's not open on my calendar, find a Monday 6 weeks from now. I don't care.
Well, and I feel like for business owners, a lot of our growth projects. So again, if it's like, I want to grow my email list or I want to like diversify my revenue, like those are really big things to do. Like that takes like a lot of to-dos to accomplish what you just said you want to do. And those are great things to want to do, but they take time. And I know for me personally, it'll take me time to like get in the headspace of that. I'm like, okay, I need to like optimize my opt-in. What does that even mean? Okay, I need to like go into that mode, and then I need to like write it, and then I need to like figure out where to put it on my website, and then I need to tweak the landing page. Like, and so by the end, there's like 12 to 20 steps that I need to take. And that's not something I can do in 2 hours. So to block off a 6-hour time chunk, it gives you time to get in the deep work mode to say, all right, here is how I am now going to accomplish this thing. And when I end my workday, I'm going to be even closer to seeing that goal come to life. And if you're doing it on a quarterly basis, then after 3 months of that, you will clearly be able to see traction from January to the end of March on this thing because you dedicated one day every week to like be working on whatever that growth goal is.
Yeah. So I kind of have a segue off of that. So looking at this 90-day plan, instead of the full year, do you have a recommendation on how to, do you just have one goal or do you have like small, medium, large? Like how do you balance it? Because obviously you're still working in client work and you want to make sure that these are feasible goals that you can actually get done, by the end of the quarter. What does that kind of look like as far as balance?
Yeah, great question. So whenever I'm assessing the quarterly goals, I actually do start in every quarter. So regardless of Q1 or if this is Q3, I want to look at yearly revenue first and foremost, because again, we are a business, not a hobby. And so you want to be aware of what am I bringing in? And especially knowing like right now would be a great time to spend some time in the next week or two looking at the year. And I know it's scary because of what 2020 did to us all, but just look at the year. So then like, okay, these are the clients already on the books, or this is when I think I'm going to be launching X, Y, and Z. And so you can have a revenue outline and have that projected revenue. Like that's why it's called that for a reason. So you understand what's happening when. So I do like to take the bird's eye view of the year in terms of revenue. Then I niche down to like, okay, but what is the focus for this 3-month period? Is there a course that's being launched right now? Or is it booking season? And so I need to be heavier on my service services, like what is happening right now. And so then to like kind of circle now back, Heather, for your question, I always suggest having 2 offer focuses, no more than 2 offer focuses for the quarter. So I actually have like a masterclass called the Quarterly Cure, and I like walk through this whole process. But I think it is super helpful for you mentally, because again, it's like your time that you're pouring into it, and helpful on a marketing side for your consumer to not be confused. Like, wait, I thought Kat was like talking about this one thing, and now the next day she's talking about this other thing, and then she's talking about this other thing. And like, what is she doing? Now there's 17 different ways I can pay her money, and I'm really confused. How do I fit into this puzzle? You know? So I like to have no more than 2 offers for that 3-month time frame. And then my goals spin off of those offers. So like, for example, if you know it's booking season for weddings, you're like, it is booking season for weddings. I want to make a goal to book 5 weddings this quarter. Like, how do I need to do that? Then you can break down, how am I doing that? I want to update my website. I need 2020 work on my website. That's a to-do, update my website. I need to batch my Instagram content and get some reels out there, because everybody says I need to dance and point. And that's what I need to do right now, is like dance and point. So like, get some, so you see what I'm saying? Yes.
Yeah, Angelica's
got it down.
Angelica's got them.
Yeah.
I'm dropping one tomorrow.
Angelica's going to teach the masterclass on dancing and pointing.
Would love to.
So it spends from like your offers. Now, it's a little bit different if you're saying like, well, Kat, I want to launch a course and I don't currently have a course, but this is like a new goal for me, like a new offer would be the course. That's where it goes back to your time and assessing like, okay, how are you looking with the current offers? Are you looking good? Is it okay to not necessarily make one a focus for the quarter and make your focus a new launch, a course launch, or a shop launch, or something else? And again, only you can assess your time and your revenue to know if it's okay to jump into something new.
So with that, like how do you like reevaluate if you come to the end of a quarter and you didn't reach one of your goals? Like, how do you push that to the next quarter and make that a goal?
Or I'm gonna tag team on this question. What do you do if you realize, and also sort of at the end of a quarter or middle of the quarter, if you realize that goal is no longer serving you?
Yeah, love both of these questions.
Yeah.
I'm an Enneagram 3, so like achieving and like goals, like it's like literally in my DNA. I like get really passionate about this kind of stuff. So on maybe you've pivoted, maybe you've changed your mind. That's just like humbly saying that to yourself, like not keeping pride in the way of, man, no, I said I was going to do this. Like, now I have to do it. Like, I've already like done X, Y, and Z. Now I have to see it through. No, you don't. You're the boss. If you've decided your heart's changed, don't do it. If you've decided you're being strategic and looking at your revenue and your audience has said, no way, I don't want that from you, don't do it. Like, just lay down the pride and literally just don't do it. I think that's why 90-day periods can be super helpful, so that you can realize potentially before it's too late, like before you put so much effort into something, right? Like, I would rather you realize 60 days in than 600 days in. If this has been like year after year after year, you've been like working for this thing, and then you're like, what? Like, let's think about it in like a smaller chunk. So that would be like my answer for that, Sarah. Tatum, in terms of like evaluating. So every quarter, I like to say no more than 2 offer focuses, and I give myself a good, better, best. I love a good, better, best, because this allows you to reevaluate. So in March, I'll be able to say, okay, my good, better, best goal was book 3 weddings, 5 weddings, 8 weddings. I booked 6. Okay, how does that fall on this measuring stick? Why did I not get 8? Did I not get the inquiries? Did I get inquiries and they turned me down? Like, you see, you can reevaluate, is it working? Is it not? I also think that in our industry and the comparison bubble that happens all the time, even when we don't want it to, this is your measuring stick. This is your good, better, best. Did it work for you and your business and your revenue and your goals? I don't care what she did. Like, I genuinely just want you to care what you did. So that measuring stick is really helpful in allowing you to break down that comparison trap and just think about your business and your goals.
Yeah, I think that's good. I'm going to jump to a question Tatum put in the chat, which I think is a really good question, especially coming out of 2020. when we were talking about at the beginning, where all of our goals for 2021 are simply to survive.
For real.
And I think coming into this year, for so many of us, a lot of the focus is like, okay, how do I just not fail this year? Like 2020 sucked. And it was great for you.
I did have a baby. That is the only
Well,
positive.
that's wonderful. And Kat had a baby. Congratulations to everyone who had babies.
Not me.
Yeah. Not me either. But I think for so many of us, we're like 2020 was such a year.
Hard.
Yeah, it was a thing. Going into 2021, it's like, okay, I just need to survive, but we should have other goals besides that. So Tatum's question, which I really love, is what type of exercises or practices do you do to help you recognize what your goals actually are versus over just surviving?
That is a really, really good question, Tatum. So I think that, I guess like a couple different answers. I'm just going to start talking. I don't even know how many I'm going to give you right now. Like three things to do. I don't even know. We're just going to talk. Okay. Number one, again, going back to like why I think it's important on a quarterly basis, because it does allow you to evaluate, like, is this what you want? Like, for example, you have probably heard over and over and over again, grow an email list, grow an email list, grow an email list. You're like, all right, fine. I'm going to grow an email list. So you start growing an email list and you're like, why am I growing an email? I'm scratching my head. Like, my revenue's fine. My clients don't need, and this is not knocking email list growth. I'm one of those people that says grow an email list. But again, you might need to just try it and then determine like, this might not be the best fit. And so starting can allow you to determine like if it's going to work or if it's not going to work, and then pivot your marketing efforts into things that maybe feel a little bit more genuine to you and to where your audience is. So I believe that you might not know right away, like this is the best goal, but sometimes you just have to start doing something in order to determine like, this is the best, like this is the right path and like the goal that I need to have for my business right now. I also think that having like a community that you can verbally process your ideas and the growth goals that you have is super important. And I'm not just saying that to like, toot the Tuesdays Together horn and say like, this is why you need to come every month. Like, you should, they're awesome. Like, y'all should hang out every month. But honestly, like just having those people, and we lost in-person community in 2020. But that doesn't mean people aren't a voice DM away or a Voxer group message away or a Tuesdays Together meeting away. And so finding ladies that understand entrepreneur brain, understand like the disco ball syndrome of like all the things that we might want to do, and can help you like be a little bit more level-headed and realistic about, okay, but let's just start here and then see what happens over the next 90 days.
Yeah. I like that. So Angelica had a good question.
Yeah, I like this one.
She said, can you share a goal you had and failed, and what did you learn from it?
Yes. I have so many goals that have failed. The first one that comes to mind was actually in the end of 2019. So I host Creative at Heart conference, and in the end of 2019, we launched Creative at Heart 2.0 is what we title it. And it was what we felt like was the answer to questions that our audience was asking us for kind of like a next level experience for them to come to. And it did not go well when we launched it. We had 4 people sign up, and we're so grateful for like the 4 women that said like, I want to come in. But when it's a conference, we can't host a conference with 40 educators with 4 attendees. So unfortunately, we had to cancel. And it was really embarrassing for me to have to do that and have to send emails out to those attendees and send emails out to our educators and like marketing, like all of these things. But I learned a lot. I learned a lot about my pride in situations and how to handle like failure publicly right? Like I feel like it's one thing when you make a goal in your business and then you don't hit it. And while yes, you still have to look yourself in the mirror and you still have to, go to sleep at night and try to rest easy. It's different when you feel like the goal is more public facing. So when you're having to admit to other people like, oh, this didn't go well. Nope, we're not having this event anymore. Like we had to cancel, like, here's your refund. Like all of these things was just hard for my pride, and really good for me to learn like how to do that and like ways to navigate that situation with our educators and our attendees on like a more practical setting too. I feel like hopefully like anybody can relate to. It was also just really helpful for me in really listening to our audience. And while I could sit there and like preach why I thought that was like the answer to all of their questions and the reason, like, you need to sign up because you've told me X, Y, and Z, and like I'm doing exactly what you want me to do. Like at the end of the day, my audience didn't want it. If they wanted it, they would have signed up for it. Does that make sense? Like, so like my audience spoke, like they didn't want it, even though I thought they did. And so that's just like a lesson in really validating our offer and understanding our people. And yes, you're going to take risks. I might take another risk and it crash and burn. Like who knows what's going to happen in 2021. But it helps me really understand a little bit more about the validation process and how important it is to test my people before just putting something together that I think they want.
Yeah. So I'm going to see if they might not want to, but if you're not shy and you would like to share one of your goals for 2021 and get Kat's feedback or ask her specific questions about a goal that you might have for your business, speak up because I think she would love to chat about it. Any takers?
Hold on, let me pull up my Trello board.
There's like, yeah, maybe.
If people are contemplating speaking or not, I would just like to state for the group, it's obvious that Angelica is the photographer in the group because she's got this perfect light on her and we're all sitting here under like fluorescent fan lights and Angelica's over here like, I look good, y'all.
I'd say one of my goals this year is to have 20 fellow photographers to mentor. And so I'm kind of like in a weird space because my platform that I've built for my business, it's a mixture of both photography and clients, more clients than anything. I did utilize like my polling and all of that on Instagram. So just kind of like on a pull and tug. I think I'm going to keep it all on just the Pompey Portraits platform for now until I have that growth in my personal brand of Angelica Pompey. And so just finding that happy medium has been like, but I'm getting through it and I'm just making content for that. So just really focusing on that. That's 20 for the whole year. So I'd be happy with that. And then this quarterly goal is wedding season for me. I've completely changed my experience from start to finish. The booking process, everything is just completely different. Just using some strategies that I've taken in some educational courses. So it's been working so far. I've gotten 3 bookings and how many days have been in? I'm like,
awesome.
19. Good job.
Yeah. So I'm like,
now,
okay, it's working.
Are you hoping to mentor all 20 at the same time? Or you want is it like a mentorship?
2 a month at max. 2 or 2 a month at minimum. I would like to kind of average at least 20-ish. But yeah, awesome. Just because it's a lot of legwork and I want to build a platform, like whether that's like a Clubhouse or a Facebook group or some sort of educational group from there. So
that's amazing. I love that.
It's awesome.
Thank you. And I just realized who you were by your face. I was like, I know her from somewhere. I follow you on Instagram. I was like, oh my gosh, she's here.
The creative at heart.
I know that's such a millennial thing to say, like, I follow you on Instagram.
Literally, I was like, oh, this is her. Let me go look. I was like, oh my gosh, hi, girl. Hi, I'm Angelica. That's how to say.
Oh my gosh, y'all. Seriously,
y'all should
you guys put your Instagrams in the chat because I'm not in like y'all's Facebook group or anything, which is fine because I'm like not in Jacksonville, so like I don't need to. But you put like Instagrams and stuff in the chat. I would love to.
Yeah.
I say at the end of this meeting, I'll go over how to save the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You can save the chats on here. Okay.
So for another group, and I have to do that section every. every
Yeah.
meeting.
Okay. You said you can save that, right? So I can like go through and like get.
Yes, I will save it at the end and I will send it to you or have Tatum.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's go. Does anybody want to share a goal right now? Or
I'll
have
share a
question?
goal
Okay.
because it's different. Grow my subscribers on YouTube to
Okay.
monetize YouTube. But the different part about it is in a completely different space than what it is that I actually do for a living. So I'm an event planner, specifically corporate and nonprofit work primarily. And then my YouTube will focus more on just home entertaining. I picked up woodworking, so it's going to follow some builds and
Love it.
home renovation. We've got a couple of big reno projects, and yeah,
I love it.
You're gonna be the next Young House Love.
Yeah.
I love Sherry.
And I have a question. Are you plan on monetizing the YouTube platform?
Yes,
the
I
goal?
have to get. Yes, that is the goal. I actually just put the silver YouTube button award on my vision board for 2021. Which is a
Yes.
little extreme. It's 100,000 followers, but
You got it.
that'd be an extreme
That's a
1 year
lot.
goal. That would be the extreme best of the good, better, best. But we're shooting for 1,000. I can start monetizing at 1,000. So, but yes, that is my big 2021 goal is to
I
start monetizing.
like it. That's awesome.
I can share.
Yeah.
I have my very first huge wedding expo that I'm doing in April. I am super
Awesome.
nervous about it.
Don't be nervous.
I think I'm just nervous about it because I'm like, oh, I have to. The way that they basically pulled me in to do the expo was like they was like, okay, you'll get a bigger space, but it would be nice if you can like tell the bride to come in about what planners do. And I'm like, so I have to teach like a little mini 15-minute type class every so often.
Okay.
To explain what we do. And I'm like, I have to like teach basically. And I'm like, okay, I can explain what I do, but I have to like kind of teach like in a part, like, okay. It was new to me, like, but I'm like, I got this.
You do.
You
Well,
got it.
so Kat, do you have tips on like how to plan for specific things like that in terms of like an event, like where you have a date, a very hard deadline, whereas like your quarterly goals are, if you don't get it, you technically still have more time, but this one is like,
Yeah, no,
you've got
that's
a
Setting
hard
those
deadline.
practical goals leading up to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like will straight up give myself like a deadline, and whether that's in Trello, putting a due date on certain things, where I'm like, okay, no, this outline needs to be done. I need to make sure I reorder the business cards by X day. I need to have, I want to mock up the layout for the booth. I'm just, of course, like making up to-dos that you might be similar to what you're doing. So whether I'm doing that like in Trello with so I'm giving myself a due date, or I also sometimes for like things I feel like I want to be like even more aware of, and like I don't want to accidentally forget them, on a Trello card or something like that. I'll make it an all-day event on my Google Calendar. So then when I'm in Google, it's like it feels like the day's been highlighted in whatever that like event is. I'm like, oh yes, I need to like send that contract or do this thing. And so I can like start backwards with when the event is, and then like work forwards with it.
Right. Also, I don't want to say I'm an expo expert, but if you have any questions, let me know.
I would definitely
I would say she is.
Yeah, I was gonna say no. I
So
know
to
you
ask
can
you,
say that.
Not
I
to
was gonna ask
toot
you,
my-
have you attended any expos locally?
I did do a smaller one on base. My husband's in the Navy, so they did one on base last year, and I was able to actually attend that one. And that was actually my very first expo.
Mhm.
So, and it was a little bit smaller, so I felt like a little bit more in my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Things like
Mhm.
that, because the expo that I'm doing in April of this year was originally for last year,
Right.
but COVID.
Right.
So we got pushed back.
Everything gets moved.
Yeah. I was kind of happy. I was like, yes, I have more time. And I was like, crap, I have more time.
Yeah. Well, that I fall victim of that where I'm like, oh, this wedding got rescheduled, so I'll just push back these tasks until later. And then that time comes and I'm like, why did I wait so freaking
Yeah.
long to do this? So I get that for sure. Which kind of brings up another question too of like, how do you hold yourself accountable for the goals that you set? And when you find yourself slacking off, like how do you kind of push yourself to get back on track?
Good question. So for me, having that one day to do it really helped me because I just felt like that was my task for that day. And so being somebody that does like to check off the to-dos, it was nice to know like, okay, I can look back at my day and these are the things that I've like actually accomplished towards this, bigger goal. And so having that like physical time was really helpful for me when looking at the bigger picture. Also thinking about like why we're doing what we're doing. And I know there's all of those philosophies around, of course, like our mission statements. And I believe in that so much. So I don't want that to seem like I'm making light of the deeper, like why we're doing what we're doing. But I think about it even in just the like quote unquote mundane things, like go back to the example of growing a list. Like, why are you growing a list? Are you growing a list because someone has told you to grow a list? Okay, but like, why you? Why does your audience need the list? Why does your business need the list? Like, why grow a YouTube channel? Like, so really understanding, like, is this just a task? And I just feel frustrated that like this is on my plate and this is a to do, and I'm like forcing myself to do it because we all started a business because we love what we do, not because we want to be forced to do the things that we don't want to do. So even just thinking about it from like a more like just cookie cutter, like, why am I doing it, has really helped me stay more motivated to do the things that I actually want to do and like leverage that growth versus trying to do all of these other things that I might not want.
I have a question just kind of regarding like revenues. So like you said that you kind of look at everything as like an overview of the year. So do you set yourself a goal as a yearly revenue? This is what we want. And then you break that into the quarters. Do you break that out evenly? Do you break that out based on what the goals are and what's more realistic for that quarter? So in terms of like kind of the money side of things, how do you set your goals?
Yeah, great question. So yes, I do projected revenue for the whole year. Yes, this year it was very hard to do because of 2020. So a lot of like, I hope we'll see.
Yeah.
So I totally understand, again, like all of those like hesitancies to doing that. But I do think, again, we're businesses, not hobbies. So it's helpful to have projected revenue and to know like this is what you want to bring in. This was something I also did when I was trying to leave my full-time job. Like I wanted to be strategic about, okay, well, if I want to match my salary, then I need to make $35,000, $40,000, whatever it is, this is what I have to do. So yes, to setting the goal, the projected revenue for the year. Unfortunately, we can't just cut it into fourths and call it a day because we're all seasonal business. I don't care if you're service-based or product-based, you have seasons in your business. You're going to have booking seasons, you're going to have launch seasons. We're not able to just do the corporate America thing where you're getting the same paycheck every single month and expecting that. But what I want to do then is say, okay, well, for easy math sake, because I hate math, like, okay, for the whole year, I want to bring in $80,000 and I want to say I'm going to bring in $20,000 in Q1, $20,000 in Q2, but then it's going to spike. And I know that I'm going to have like 30,000. Does that make sense? Like then I'm going to go through each quarter. And again, this is projected. So you're knowing like based on maybe the booking season from the year before, or in this case, you might look a little bit at 2019, like pull data from 2019 because 2020 had so many question marks, and also looking at your launch calendar. So if you have products and you are planning to have some sales, open cart, in cart, something like that, I want to factor all of that in. And then I know, okay, well, if Q1, my goal is $20,000 and Q1, how am I getting there? Like, why did I say that I want $20,000 in Q1? Was that because it's booking season? So I know I'm going to bring in this number of clients, or my goal is to bring in this number of clients. Am I doing a big sale in my online shop? So then now I have like to-dos to help me get to that goal. And I'm able to break down each quarter based on like what I want that revenue to be.
Just real quick to kind of piggyback off of all of that. when you're service-based and you're getting a first payment and a final payment, do you count your final payments towards those goals, or is it only new business that you are trying to use to reach that goal?
Yeah, great question. So I count it towards the goal if it's that year. So if you're booking right now 2021 brides, then yes, it's your projected, like it's in the 2021 pot. If I just recently booked 2 brides for next year, womp womp, like, yay, that's great, it counts, but it doesn't really count because I'm
Right.
like, that's helpful for me in 2022, but not helpful for me like right now. So yes, it's good to get that retainer in, of course, and then for all of those legal reasons. But in terms of like projected revenue, I care about like this financial year, not next year.
Awesome. Angelica, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was going to ask Kat, how do you celebrate your successes or accomplishing your goals? What do you do?
Oh, I'm really terrible at celebrating.
Angelica's great at it.
I need you to help me be better at it. I'm one of those people that is like already on to the next goal. And so I've had to train myself like, no, we should like sit in this. So if that means like we have champagne for dinner, you know, and it's just like something fun like that. Or if this means like, okay, family night, we're going to order pizza tonight and like hang out in our jammies and like watch a movie after, you know, after dinner or whatever. But I will say that overall, I'm pretty terrible at celebrating the goals. And it's definitely something that I need to be better at.
I would say I would like to tack onto this a little sort of on it is like find someone who celebrates that like on your behalf. So like I just shameless plug. This will be on YouTube on Friday. Anyways, but I finished my first furniture build this weekend and I of course picked it apart and was like, this is terrible, this is wrong, this is stupid, it's not living in our living room, like this is like awful, here's all the mistakes, here's all the things that are wrong with it, like here's this. And my husband walks in and looks at it and he's like, this is beautiful. And I'm like, here's the 17 things that are wrong. Here's how I didn't reach like that goal that I thought that I would reach. But like having someone else to sit there and be like, no, hang on. Like you did do it. Like
right.
You made a functional table that does look like you could buy. So, like
made a functional
it's
table.
not like someone could sit on this thing. Like it's sturdy, it's fine. My lines are like all of the good things that I'm overlooking because all you see are the like, okay, I did that. It's time to move on to the next thing. Like that's something that makes
I like that.
I was gonna say we use a money gun, so when we meet a certain amount, what's dead?
What? Stop!
It's dead. My husband took the batteries out. But yeah, we have a money gun. It's fake, but
that's awesome.
I learned that at a photography conference. It was great. I was like,
can you get that on Amazon?
Yeah, it's out like $10, and it comes with a fake money. It's great.
That is hilarious. She's like, I'm gonna look that up right now.
It's a little dusty, obviously.
I need a reel.
I'm telling you what, spikes of money guns are gonna go up tonight on Amazon.
I do a reel.
You should send your affiliate link for your Amazon.
Right.
Money gun.
I'm working on that. That is one of my goals this year because people always ask me for things, and I'm like, I need a link of affiliate. Even if it's 50 cents.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
That's awesome.
All right. Does anybody have? Look, she's gonna buy that right now. Does anybody have any other questions for Kat?
I do. I have one more.
Okay.
Kat, what drives you? What is like your, you go and doing this every day. What is your drive for your day to day in your business?
I love that. So overall, day to day, entrepreneurship drives my like love for just flexibility and freedom in the life that we live. I love that like we work from home with our kids. Like that's so fun. And there are so many people that I know would love to do that. And so it's just really cool for me that we can cultivate a life that like allows us to do that with our kids. We don't live in our family. So I like that we can pick up and go travel. And if I have my laptop, I can work where I need to work. So again, that like freedom part of it is just really driving to me. In the beginning, my first business was a wedding planning business. And so I love wedding planning. I love couples. I love marriage. I love like the celebration of like what that means. But over the years, my drive has very much just become like business in general over just wedding. I still love my couples, but I love business ownership. Like I like the problem solving and the strategy and like business planning, like that sort of thing. And I feel like entrepreneurship has allowed me to use a lot of the different things that I like all together. And I feel like we could probably all relate to that, right? Like a little bit of like square peg, round hole, and like maybe other job situations. And then you like find a job that's like light bulb moment. Like now I get to do all of these things that I really love, and they can all work together for one thing, like one purpose, the business. So I've really enjoyed like wearing all of the different hats and like getting to problem solve in that way.
Yeah. That's
Yay.
awesome.
I
I
agree.
want to finish it off with one last question. I love
Yeah.
that one. But what is one thing that every business owner should be doing in 2021?
Diversifying your offerings, hands down. Hands down. I don't care if it's like a $9 product.
That's what saved my business in 2020, honestly.
Yes, and that's absolutely
because I, in 2019, diversified. Actually, Kat helped me diversify when I started doing the education. And that is what saved my business. Like my income stayed the same from 2019 to 2020, even though it was originally projected to be higher, it at least stayed the same. And it was because of the diversification.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, definitely. And if you're like, what can I diversify? Like, how can I do that? Like, I really, really like encourage you to brainstorm with some like industry friends and like verbally process, like, what are things that you're already doing? What are holes that you could potentially continue to fill for current clients? Because current client, like you can maintain like reoccurring clients versus finding new people. So like what are holes that like your business can start to fill for them? What are things people are asking for you? Like if you just have some brainstorming time around it, you might be really surprised some of the things that come up. And again, like it can be anything from like, I have $9 calendars in my shop. And I was like, this is gonna be so silly. It's like a $9 product. And like, we've been so blown away by like a $9 product. So you can diversify.
By the way, I'm getting ready to link all this in the comments.
But like, you know, I don't want you to think like I have to like create a signature course or like create this like really intense thing. Like, no, you can like start small, but it's diversifying and it's allowing you to lean into things if, God forbid, more things happen in 2021 than we had to face in 2020, and you need it even more.
Yeah. So can you share some of the resources that you might have that the people listening can go and check out, and then where to follow you on Instagram and stuff if they want to continue learning from you?
Yeah, well,
I'm dropping the links in here for you now, Kat.
Okay, perfect. I was like, yeah, my Instagram will be like in there. And then I do host Creative at Heart. And so we have a membership community where we give education every single month from industry experts. So our goal is to just give you information and education that you need right at your laptop. So you don't have to, if you can't afford to go to an in-person event, or again with COVID, like I know that there are still question marks about some of those things. We are moving forward and planning our conference for this year. So we'll be announcing those details in February for our 2021 conference. So we're being super hopeful. We'll wear masks. We'll be 6 feet apart. We'll do like all the safety things, no hugs, but like we will be there. So like, we're really excited to do something in person this year. And then for me personally, I do have a shop that has just some like planning, organizing, business planning style products, Trello templates, things like that. I also offer coaching. So if you would like even more like one-on-one time, definitely let me know. Shoot me a DM. We can voice DM about it. And I would love to do that.
Awesome. Well, since it's been an hour, I'm sure everybody has things they want to go do, or bedtime, like for me. So I just want to thank Kat and everyone for joining us and kind of talking about business planning. I hope that everybody has a successful year this year and is able to accomplish all of their goals. I'd love to be able to keep like this conversation going throughout the year. So tomorrow I'll create a thread on our Facebook group where we can share our goals with each other and see how we can kind of help each other out and brainstorm together so that we can help each other and be each other's cheerleaders, as Sarah was talking about. So if you guys have any questions for Kat, like she said, she's available, but if you want to submit questions to us as well, we're happy to kind of reach out to her on your behalf. So yeah, thanks everybody. And
Thank y'all so much.
Yeah,
And
and
Sarah, when I get the chat from you, I'm gonna go through on
yes, I was just about to say, I just saved the chat. So I'll tell everyone really quick how to do it. Since I'm
yeah.
expert chat saver. So if you have your chat open, you will notice that there are 3 little dots at the bottom of your chat box. If you click on those 3 little dots, you will see it and it'll say save chat, and you can click that and it'll save it straight to your computer. Or you can also click the button, it'll say file, and you can save it to like Google Drive or Dropbox or whatever cloud storage system it is that you use there. You can also just highlight everything and hit copy and then paste it into a Word doc.
Yay.
I had no
Thank
idea
you.
you could do that.
I didn't have any idea. So that's
You
awesome.
can on Zoom for how much now?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I do have it saved and I will send it to you, Kat, anyway. If anybody else needs it too or couldn't figure it out. If you're tuning in on your phone, you can't save it if you are Zooming on your phone. But I have it, so just shoot me a message on Facebook, anybody, then I will send it to you.
Perfect.
All right. Thank
All
y'all
right,
so much.
Kayla,
Thank
you
you,
want it?
Kat. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you again.
Okay.
Thank y'all so much. This was really fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think so too. All right, we'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.